Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Confidence Course, How to Defeat Self-Doubt, Trade Perfectionism for Possibility, and Live Your Dreams. My name is Garnet McGraw, and I created this course as a love letter to everyone who has felt like they can't speak up, they can't show up, they don't have permission to be who they are in their own lives. And today, I'm so happy to have Anaiya Sophia here with us. So welcome, Anaiya.
Oh, thank you so much, Caroline. It's an absolute honor to be here and to talk about this really important subject.
I am so glad you're here because I know I need to learn about it. We need to learn about it. We need to talk. So just to give people a little bit of an introduction, Anaiya is a mystic of an almost forgotten faith, known as an author of 6 books, including Womb Wisdom, Sacred Relationships, several others. And she's currently working on her latest book, The Fierce Feminine. So that's something we're going to talk about today. Why we as women don't speak up, why we're afraid of the fierce feminine, and how can we start to live a bit braver and more courageous. So to get started, Anaiya, where did your journey really begin in this area, and why did you begin studying the fierce feminine?
I would say it's actually a relatively new thing. This is something that I've been really delving into myself within the last 2 years. Now, this could be because I'm actually going into my menopausal phase. I'm at that perimenopausal time, and by golly, things are changing very much inside of me. So could it be that? Or could it simply be I was ready for this next phase of the feminine journey? I've spent a lot of time. I would say the first part of my spiritual journey was opening the heart through bhajans, through mantra, through Gangaji. And then the next phase was the womb and sexuality and reclaiming my sacred sexual self. And now, of course, in comes the voice. Freeing the voice as radically and as ruthlessly as I paid attention to the heart and the womb. So it's a new stage. I'm loving every day of it, and I'm very passionate about it because I realize I've been silencing my own voice since the age of 12. I was saying to Pete today, because he said, when did you first feel this energy? I said,
Yes.
I know exactly when. I was 12 years old. I was camping with my mum and dad in the New Forest, and I saw some young boys be cruel to a wild pony. The New Forest is known for its wild ponies. And these 3 boys just randomly hurt the pony. And I was 12 and I did nothing.
Oh, wow.
I did nothing, and I ran home to the caravan and I cried. And I could feel that anger and frustration because I felt something well up, but I didn't respond.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was the beginning of what is this tremendous force and why don't I let it out?
Yeah. So that's a great place to start. And that's such an evocative story of what are some of the reasons why we don't let it out? Be it, we're very young and we feel powerless. What are some of the reasons?
I would say, I think every country has its story. Now, for England, we're very much interested in politeness and etiquette and holding your own and stiff upper lip. So wild behavior is simply frowned upon in the United Kingdom. And of course, America will have its own cultural and traditional stories. So I would say that's the first thing we have to look at. What have we been raised on? And in England, it's always being polite. And that is what we're up against.
Yeah. And it's hard to see it maybe because it's just the air you breathe and the world you live in, and you sort of take it for granted until you go perhaps into another country or into another norm. Right. And then you realize.
Totally. I mean, if you go to Brazil, they're not interested in being polite. No.
Yeah.
But they will have something else.
Mm-hmm.
There will
Mm-hmm.
be a cultural conditioning.
Yeah. And it sounds like, I mean, for you, that was such a pivotal moment when
Yeah.
you saw that and not speaking up.
Yes.
And I guess my question is, I'm thinking of memories like that in my own life, and how do we start to work with those? What has been your process of working with that?
My process has been to actually intentionally, with my consciousness and with my loving heart, invoke the goddess Kali
Mm.
and asking her to bring me more of those opportunities, for things to actually pass my
Mm-hmm.
periphery and in
Mm-hmm.
ways that I can't ignore. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
asking for the opportunity to do that. And of course, Kali being Kali, absolutely brings in those opportunities and experiences very rapidly. I
Mm.
haven't had the animal initiation yet because, to
Mhm.
be honest, I think she's saving the very best till last, because
Oh.
that is where my big energy is, cruelty
Mm.
to animals.
Mhm.
So I've
Mhm.
intervened with humans. I've
Yes.
gone up to random strangers and, told them to stop whatever it was they were doing. I
Mhm. Mhm.
confronted spiritual teachers.
Mm.
Um, it's so scary. It is so scary, but so liberating as well.
Mm.
So much energy.
Yeah, I love that. So I love the concept of asking the divine feminine in
Yes.
the form that you connect most with, saying,
Yeah.
bring me an opportunity to face up to this and to speak
Yes.
up.
Yeah.
And so that's a very practical thing that I can take away of, all right, if I have this moment where I was really silenced, I can ask for other opportunities to do it
Yes.
differently this time.
Yes. Yes. And we must be so beautifully compassionate with ourselves,
Mm.
because, I didn't bite the very first time it was presented.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
would say 3 to 4 to 5 times something had to run by me.
Yeah.
But then I got to see how much frustration I had at my silence, how much guilt and remorse I had at my silence. So even if we don't bite, even if we don't take the opportunity, we
Mm-hmm.
will get to see all the other layers that make up our silence. And it's not nice,
Mm.
it's not comfortable, but it's good and it's honest work and it's essential. It's
Mm.
essential to slowly make our way there through all the layering.
Yeah. I like how you speak about these missed opportunities as part of the process, as opposed to, oh, I messed up, or oh, I shouldn't have done that. It's no, this is part of the frustration, is part of it.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
really like that. And I also wanted to ask too, if women are hearing this and feeling like, okay, I want some opportunities, I'm willing to ask for some opportunities to speak up. Um, but they're feeling like maybe I need to start smaller. Are there
Yeah.
some ways that you've seen people can start to speak up, even something as simple as like what you would like to eat for a meal? Like, what are some of the ways that people can start speaking up?
Yeah, there is a beautiful slow way of starting, and that is to be absolutely present and aware for every decision that is being made,
Hmm.
and just check in. Because what will happen is you will automatically answer, yeah,
Yeah.
sure, no worries, you choose. And
Yeah.
you must say, hang on, sorry, I'm doing an alchemical process at the moment. And
Yes.
I've done this even in a restaurant.
Yeah.
Let me close my eyes and check in.
Hmm.
I would like fish, please.
Lovely.
You
I like
actually
that.
take that time and again be available to maybe feel a little bit embarrassed, because not
Hmm.
everyone asks for that extra bit of time to decide.
Yes. Oh, that is so practical and powerful because as soon as you said that, I've felt that time pressure of they're waiting on me. I have to give them an answer right this second, right this second. And I can just say, I
Yeah,
just need a minute.
that's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I really like that. Yeah. So what are some other I guess parts of the internal process? So that check in with yourself, is there maybe a daily meditation practice? What are some of the other ways that you stay connected?
Yes, dancing is another wonderful
Mm.
way of connecting with that energy, that raw primordial Shakti energy. Something that I'm considering doing after experiencing it myself this summer is giving ladies the sacred space and support needed to access their sacred rage.
Ooh.
So we live in the French Pyrenees. It's
Mm.
very remote, it's very vast. There's plenty of open and safe space. So
Mm.
this summer I went up onto the remains of an old Knights Templar chateau.
Oh, cool.
And I went up there with two girlfriends and my husband Pete, and I huffed and I puffed and I prayed and I chanted, and I eventually got on my knees and all fours, and I allowed this huge sound to come
Mm.
out of my mouth. I could not have even hoped to have done such a thing by myself. I
Mm.
tried to do it with Pete alone, and because he's my husband, both times I just ended up laughing, like a hyena, because there's so much embarrassment and shame around
Mhm.
this. But
Mhm.
with my two good girlfriends beside me, and
Mm.
they were praying on my behalf, please help her access this. So it's
Mm.
kind of like a joint effort. And so I realized after that,
Yeah.
wow, we can't do this alone. We can only do this in community. To have that encouragement and that, the green lights from your sisters, go for it, access it. We got your
Yes.
back. Don't worry, we're not gonna judge what comes out of you.
Mm.
So I'm contemplating maybe sacred rage workshops in
Wow.
remote places.
That sounds like an amazing offering because it is, it can be really challenging, obviously. I mean, close to impossible to find that on your own
Yes.
because it makes me think of one of my closest friends to this day. Her name is Tammy. And there was, when we were teenagers, I had my first breakup. I was so devastated. I was so hurt. I was so angry. It was just a very difficult situation. And I was trying to be very stiff upper lip about it and trying to be very strong, I'm not going to let this get me down.
Yes.
And we were at summer camp together. And I remember she came down, like we were on bunk beds, and she came to my bunk bed and she said, you're being really brave about this, but I can tell how much this is hurting you. And I think you really need to cry. I think you
Mm,
really need to. And I was like, no, 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 I'm fine. And she was like, I'm not leaving until you cry. And it was, I will sit here all night with you. And it
yes.
sounds like that's something like what you had, of people who are willing to stay with
Yeah.
you and just be like,
Yeah.
until you get real, until you
Yeah.
let it out, I'm
Yes.
not leaving.
Yes, yeah, that was it. And that's the level I think we need, because
Yeah.
we've been trained and conditioned to be so polite, so friendly, so smiley, so joyful, so in agreement with everybody.
Yes.
And so it's going to take our sisters to even poke and provoke, to
Hmm.
actually try and get us a little bit gnarly.
Yeah.
If someone's like that, I have no rage. then
I'm
it's then
fine.
it's your duty to just poke them until it starts coming.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's such a trust that's required
Yeah. Oh
to
yes.
to be, a really good friend who, okay, I can let myself be mad with them. I can swear with them. I can just say whatever I need to say. And that, like you said, they'll still be there for you at the end of it. They won't judge you. They'll
No,
just be there.
absolutely. And that is another great way for women to rebuild their bridges and their trust and their bonding, because that's another conversation. It's how,
Mm-hmm.
us ladies haven't really been trusting one another. Something like this makes a huge human bond.
Mm.
There's no
Yeah.
forgetting who you spilled your sacred rage. Never,
Yeah.
never, never.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. And it's kind of ironic that I think, at least for me, I get so anxious at the thought of, oh, I don't want to let anybody see that, or I don't want to let anybody into that. But
Yeah.
what if you do, if you are willing to take that leap, it's like that is such a bond. Like you said, you'll never forget that.
Absolutely. It's actually a very loving, genuinely loving moment and experience.
Mm.
Pure vulnerability. We think rage is power and aggression, and at the beginning it is, but then
Mm.
it drops and drops and drops and drops, and then you're just left as this
Mm.
gorgeous, humble beauty.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow. So that brings up another question, at least for me. It's like, I think sometimes I have this fear of, if I let myself get really, really honest and get really, really mad, then there's this fear of I will turn into this terrible person, this absolute just raging, that it
Yeah.
won't stop. But it sounds like what you're saying is, if you let yourself do that and keep going underneath that, there's something beautiful.
Absolutely. And that was my fear as well, Caroline, very much. Um, and in the middle of that sacred rage, because I was asking for Kali
Mm-hmm.
to orchestrate and instruct and guide the whole process, because I knew I had my own personal anger, and I didn't want just that to come out. I
Mm.
wanted something even bigger. I wanted to be able to see if I could embody a clean, sacred rage.
Wow.
A rage that doesn't harm anyone, but it absolutely annihilates the perpetrator of the cruel or unkind act.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oops, I'm not sure that's possible, because I've got so much personal anger in there as well.
Sure.
I could turn to the dark side if I really let rip. So
Mm-hmm.
that was my
Mm-hmm.
fear.
Yeah.
And there was a moment in the middle of this experience where I found myself starting to formulate a sentence that would be harmful.
Mm.
I was engineering something quite spiteful, and I
Mm-hmm.
was gonna, wow, send it straight between the eyes of this certain person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the sentence was forming quite nicely. I myself was personally ready and able to say such a thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I went silent.
Mm.
All the sacred rage dimmed down. I
Mm-hmm.
lost track of what I was going to say. And then a few seconds later, another wave came up, and I was raging about something else.
Oh,
So
wow.
this is amazing, because the whole process was exactly that: clean,
Mm.
pure power.
Wow.
So Kali, or the dark feminine, or the dark mother, whatever we want to call her, protected me from
Mm-hmm.
using that energy for naughty reasons.
Mm. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And that makes me see another layer to it of, if you're trusting your friends or your spouse or your loved ones with this raw, vulnerable emotion, it's that sense that they're with you and they're there for you. But then it's also, if you're trusting the divine with this, that the divine has your back too.
Absolutely. I mean, definitely pray, genuinely pray, or
Mm-hmm.
invoke, whatever your method is, beforehand. Bring in all the light, the goodness, all the goldenness.
Mm-hmm.
Pray for your soul so that you can release cleanly. And then I am pretty sure exactly that will happen. Something will have your back, and you will be taken through the eye of the needle, and it is an eye of a needle. There's no mucking around with this force. But I absolutely believe it's part of a woman's journey. She opens her heart, she opens her womb, she opens her voice. At some stage, we got to do this piece.
Wow. I have chills just thinking about it. Wow. Let's see. So I'm trying to decide where to take this, because I was looking at your blog and your website, and speaking of opening the heart, I was also interested in your definition of soulmates and beloveds. So can you share a bit about what those are and how, connecting with others can also help you to open up?
Yes. Now then, first of all, I'm not an authority on any of this. This is all just gut feeling and my own personal experience. So my feeling is a soulmate can be an intimate, or it can be a best friend or a great friend. But by the time you're finished, you're complete with your soulmate, their influence on you helps you birth more of your sovereign and individual and independent self. So by the time you've done your dance together, more of your individuality is out there in the world as your everyday being.
Okay.
Whereas the beloved or the twin flame, it's not about determining any more individuality. It's really about letting that go. Letting that go and merging and really starting to operate now as a we, but not a codependent we. Not a, oh my God, I've completely lost sense of who I am, but more like whatever I was, I just pour into this new and unknown third being that we're going to be. So it's not duality, but a trinity. So I, Anaiya, merge with Pete. And what is the union of that? We often call it Petaya.
Okay, nice.
There's a little bit of Pete and a little bit of
Anaiya. Right.
Petaya. So it's not Pete losing himself in me and me losing myself in Pete, but actually becoming the highest potential of us both.
That's a really, really fascinating image, because I know a lot of times people feel, okay, all of this stuff about being confident or using my voice, does that mean I'm isolated, or does that mean I'm alone and I'm outside of relationship? But I love how you explain it as, no, it's we're creating something together, and it is you're dissolving some of the individual aspect, but it's more like you're adding to it, that there's a third entity.
Yes. And then, of course, in this conversation, there's also the gate opener.
What is this?
Name. The gate opener is kind of like that being you meet who absolutely opens you up energetically, sexually, and emotionally. And you were absolutely convinced, oh my God, this is the beloved. So you do the big surrender. But their job is just to be there for a certain amount of time. They cannot last. That's not their duty. They are there to open you. And it's a big love story. It's not the soulmate, because the soulmate is a very dependable and loyal person. Even if you complete your dance with the soulmate, they are most definitely going to hang around and be part of the rest of your life. Whereas the gate opener comes in from nowhere, swoops you off your feet, opens up things that you didn't realize could open, and then is unable to stay. They might be married, they might live in another country, or they might pass over.
Mm-hmm.
But they will be taken from you, and you will be left totally open. And now another stage of the journey begins.
I love this so much because there can be so much shame around if a relationship ends or, this person doesn't stay and you think, what's wrong with me? I really thought that this was real.
Yes.
And I love how you're explaining it. It's like, of course it was real, but
Absolutely.
that person had a role and
Yes.
they fulfilled their role.
Yes. 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 And they may not even realize they're the gate opener. They're like that. What? I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And you're like, my soul is fully illuminated. My
Yeah.
heart is wide open. And I have, made love from here to the next universe. And they're like, really?
What? Oh, that's funny. I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Wow. And it sounds like there's so much, like when you look at it that way, it's everything is working together for you, even if people are unconscious of their roles in this.
Yes. One of the theories I like to feel is that it's all part of the same soul family. We all agreed, we all had these destined arrangements to meet at certain stages in life, fulfill what we had to fulfill. But of course, we've forgotten.
Yeah.
So the gate opener says, really? I did all of that? And of course, we're gate openers.
Ooh.
Me and you may have been gate openers to previous partners, and we had no clue.
No idea.
We opened their heart that much.
Yeah.
And that it took forever to get over us. And that they were forever changed. Wise and matured, but forever changed.
That makes so much sense. And it's so funny. As you were saying that, my cat was wandering around the room, which I loved because it's this sort of a mysterious kind of story that my whole life I always wanted a cat. And I told my parents about this, and it was always just, no, we have a dog, etc. And so I had this whole idea of like, I know my cat's name is going to be Bootsy. She's going to have little white markings on her feet. Like it was very detailed. Like I know.
Yes.
And I moved to where we live now in Alabama, made some friends. And one day the friend says, oh, I was telling her about this cat that I've always known I'm supposed to have. And she said, well, my neighbor's cat just had kittens. Do you want to go look at them? And now I know you can't just look at kittens. That's totally a lie. But I went there and I recognized her. It was just bizarre. I was like, that's my cat right there. And that's a long-winded way of sort of saying like what you're saying, this aspect of we kind of recognize each other, but we've forgotten as well.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Animals are most definitely in the soul family. Definitely. I also think my kitty is a soulmate.
Oh, lovely.
Definitely. Yeah. There was one time when I was very, very devastated, and I said to Kitty, why is it I love you so much? And he said, because I'm holding the frequency of the beloved until you're ready to meet him. I'm the only one that you can love and trust at the moment. You just simply can't do it with any other human. So I'm going to hold that energy, and when you're ready, the being shall appear.
Wow, that is so powerful.
I know that was true. I don't care what anyone says. Yeah.
Well, I want to make sure that I honor your time. So just as we're wrapping up, is there anything that we didn't cover that you would like to share about speaking up or final words of encouragement?
I think we've covered it, but I'll just go over one more thing. I believe the tools of awakening are in community, in circle, in sacred, safe containers with other women. I don't believe this is a women's only spiritual pursuit at the moment. It's obviously the feminine, the wild feminine is in men as well.
Sure.
But I have been working mostly with women. So that is why I say what I say. We need one another. We need that support and that permission and that
Mm.
encouragement, to
Yeah.
really G up that internal Shakti to
Mm.
eventually free the voice open.
Mm.
And there's nothing like a bunch of wild ladies to do
Watch out, world. Here come the wild ladies.
that.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I can feel that just meeting you for the first time. It feels like I feel that freedom and that connection. And I am so grateful to you for taking the time to talk. And I just want to make sure for everyone listening, if you want to hear more, Anaiya has a free gift, the Fierce Feminine Transmission, and we're going to make sure to link to that below the video. So just as we close, Anaiya, did you want to tell us any more about that?
Well, a transmission is a guided journey. So it's my spoken voice filled with emotion and triggers and longings and desires that I think we will all recognize. So it's a very emotional journey as
Mm-hmm.
we make that inner journey together from a silent woman, from a shameful woman, from maybe a, a woman who feels guilty that she can't speak. So we'll go through a familiar journey together until we reach that point where we are liberated in the voice and we
Mm.
feel the emotion of what that must be like. There was recently a little trailer going around Facebook of a starving polar bear rooting
Oh.
around in the dustbin looking for some.
Mm.
And in Alaska, it is illegal to feed polar bears.
Mm.
So my little fierce feminine on the inside made up this whole fantasy that she just so happened to have a crate of fish with her. And so she went to the polar bear and she absolutely lavishly gave the polar bear fish. And
Mm.
some fisherman comes along and says, hey, ma'am, it's illegal to feed the polar bears. And of course, she
Hmm.
faces him and literally burns his skin off
Wow.
with some kind of transmission. I have no idea what she says, but it's stories like that, stories to really tap into that force in the heart, that
Mm.
deeper force in the heart.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, and I'm grateful to get to speak to you. It's been an honor.
Oh, thank you so much, Caroline, for creating this space for this to happen.
Thank you. And everyone, stay tuned for the next edition of the Confidence Course series. Bye.